Hey guys, Marstinkin here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are doing the team building guide for the physical Future Gohan Extreme Z battle, which should be coming out sometime around 9 to 10 hours from when this video goes live. So it is a typical 30 stage EZA. So you go through the first 30 stages to get all of the medals. Once you get to stage 20, you start to get a massive debuff against certain types of units. And then, yeah, obviously if you want to go past stage 30, you can collect extra Hercule statues. Always good to farm up EZAs that you find easier based on what your, what your box is like. Because we're getting so many EZAs now, you definitely always want to have a lot of Zenny. So the category is androids, and the damage reduction is against int, physical, and super as well. So basically that means you kind of really only want to bring extreme AGL, tech, and STR units. Now androids is a reasonable size category. Obviously it leans mostly towards the extreme side, which is obviously good for this anyway, because super type units will be getting debuffs. There are a bunch of free to play options for leaders as well, so this should be one that shouldn't be super difficult. But as always with my team building guides, I go through my top picks and honourable mentions. So if you guys think that I missed out a unit that I should have talked about, or I didn't focus on a certain aspect of one of the units I did talk about, let me know down below in the comment section. If you find the guide helpful at all, smash that like button and do subscribe to the channel if you are new. So when it comes to androids, obviously we've got the basic leaders. Android 13 gives HP 130, 170 to attack and defense. He's okay. He's aged okay. In harder content, once you get towards the end, his defense is not the best, but he is a support unit for the team before he transforms. He transforms on turn 5, so with an EZA you're not going to get to turn 5 that often unless your team is a bit on the weaker side. So he is going to be largely there to provide support. I would bring him basically just if he's your best androids lead. He obviously links up super well with like Super 17, both the AGL and the LR. He's not only good for linking, he's obviously providing them extra support as well. So he is a useful unit to bring even if you don't need to use him as a leader. But I don't know if I would necessarily put him as a top pick. I think maybe I would. Mine is obviously Rainbow Link level 10. So like at his best, he can still do well in something like an EZA. Then, of course, we have the STR EZA 21. I think it's pretty clear that with her having 160 across the board, which is a very nice balance for a leader skill, and the fact that she's STR against the physical enemy EZA, it's probably no surprise that I would say she is the best choice for the leader if you do have her. She does immense damage, recovers HP on super attack, which is always good for EZA events because you can't use items. The androids does have a lot of options for healing in the team. So she's a very solid unit, slightly better after she supers, so she's not the ideal slot 1 unit. She also lowers attack, but obviously that's not relevant in an EZA past the first few turns. And then if you do get to turn 4 and onwards, she has a 40% chance to transform, as long as your HP is 40% or above. And then once she transforms, she heals at the start of turn instead of on super. I prefer the on super, because then if you get an additional, you can heal twice. Which is obviously very, very useful. But like I say, depending on how powerful your team is, you won't even necessarily get to turn 4. And then even if you do, it's not a guarantee that she's going to survive, so transform. So she is a very, very good option. Decent links as well, so very good. Then we have the Tech LR Super 17. Very divisive unit. Obviously, he's gotten a lot better recently with some of the buffs like the EZAs for the Trenchcoat 17 and the Hellfighter 17. So he is a solid enough unit. An EZA like this is going to be a place where he is going to be good. Unfortunately, he gets his damage reduction the turn after he takes his first attack. So we've already talked about the fact that the EZA stages are not necessarily going to be super long. So he's probably not going to be on your team as the primary tank, but if you're bringing him as the leader or you're bringing him on the team and you start with him on turn 1, he will be able to take some hits, and obviously depending on your rotation, he might be the best tank you have on rotation, because he is still solid enough defensively, especially with his full passive. Like if you have a full androids and target Goku rotation with him, then obviously he is still very, very strong, and a lot of the units on the team are on and target Goku as well as androids. Then of course he does have the active skill, but he has to receive 7 attacks for you to do it, so chances are it's not going to happen. In EZAs you don't normally get a lot of like 5 attacks in one slot, and even then that doesn't fully build him up in one turn, so probably not going to see that very often. But Next up, we have the tech androids. So obviously their leader skill is Worldwide Chaos or Future Saga, not straight up androids. You can make a full android team out of that, but it's not going to necessarily be the strongest team build. So if you did pull them, I would probably run them on the team, but not as the leader. Of course, if you didn't pull them and you can build an android team that is fully on Worldwide Chaos or Future Saga, you could then bring them as a friend, because obviously when you're facing one enemy whose HP is 35% or more, you can use their active skill. So obviously their active skill is going to be very good in an EZA. You could literally cancel out like the first turn that they come into play. So they can be very good. Obviously they create orbs and they're a nuker. Like any nuker, they won't look as good if you don't get as many orbs, but they do create them themselves, so it's not as difficult. So they are a definite must bring if you have them. Like I say, not necessarily as the leader, because I think this build for androids is slightly worse, especially on global, because we're missing a couple of EZAs. But you could definitely run them as the leader. So next up we have the free-to-play LR androids. I guess technically now with their EZA, their leader skill, it's not great, but you could use them as a leader if you really don't have any other options. Although I think there are better free-to-play options for leader skill. But we'll go over a couple of those units in this video anyway. So they raise attack and defense on both super attacks, so they can be very good defensively. And then, yeah, they provide key and defensive support to everybody. They get all their buffs in this EZA because you are attacking a super class enemy. So they're just going to look very, very good in this event, supporting the team, providing good links as well. So definitely a must bring if you have them. Next up we have the Agl Super 17. So obviously in an EZA you can't use units with the same name, so it's kind of going to depend. Like if you have this guy fully EZA'd, rainbowed, link leveled, and you have the LR at like 55%, then this guy's probably better, because in a shorter event like this it's easier for him to tank on the first turn, because if he's taking a couple of hits, like each hit is building up his defense rather than you having to wait until the next turn. So since it's more likely, depending on how long you've been playing the game, you have this guy more built up than the LR, then I would definitely recommend using this guy. So he can be very, very good as well. Next up we have one of the EZAs that I talked about, the Trenchcoat 17. Obviously there are a lot of options for having another unit with the 17 in the name, because it includes Super 17, it includes all the 17 and 18 units. So this guy's going to have his full passive active. He's got a very good start of turn defense, so he can work very well as a slot 1 unit, and then he's also providing support to the rotation as well. So definitely a must bring if you have him. The Int one is obviously got type advantage and is getting the damage reduction. So, I mean, together as a rotation, they're very powerful. So you could probably get away with running the Int Hellfighter 17. You just got to be aware that he's not going to tank well, and if he takes a super, you'll probably die. But if you're lacking other options, I guess you could actually bring him. Next up, we have this World Tournament Cell. So not a lot of people are going to have him. He is a World Tournament reward card, but his Awakening is very good. Greatly raises defense on super. Has a built-in chance to additional, sadly only against 2 enemies. So unless you have dupes, he's only going to single super. So maybe in the later stages, he won't be tanking as well, especially against the super. But he can be very good defensively overall, and he's providing key and 30% support. So he is very useful to bring on the team if you have him. Plus he's another big bad bosses unit. A lot of the newer android units for the team don't have big bad bosses, but depending on how you're building it, a lot of them do. So that is a good link to have. Next up we have this cell, even rarer probably than the World Tournament cell, because he's only from those support type banners, which haven't been around very often at all. But the second form cell is the 50% support for extreme tech, and as we've already gone over a bunch of really good extreme tech units on this team already, he is a nuker that also creates his own orbs. So like if you have this guy on rotation with the tech Dokkan Fest androids, then chances are they're going to pick up a huge ton of orbs, and although it doesn't leave a lot for him, they're going to hit ridiculously hard on that turn. So if you've got a very tech heavy team, then he's definitely a worthwhile consideration. Next up we have this guy. So I wanted to mention this guy because he's one of the better link partners for the Dokkan Fest androids, but the problem is we don't have his EZA on global yet, so he's not super good. He does raise defense on super, but then his base stats are only attack and defense 70%, and then he gets an additional 70% and a medium chance to crit if you have a future 18 attacking in the same turn. I didn't bring up the STR 18, actually. Let me get her up here, because I didn't bring her up just because she doesn't have an EZA, and the tech one is a better link partner for the tech androids, but she is still a decent link partner for them, and you do have type advantage with her. So she also raises attack and defense on Super. She'll get the buff as well as a chance to dodge when you have 17 in this future in the same turn. So actually, she also gets an additional super attack against him, and so does he. So actually, this rotation would actually be pretty strong for a free-to-play team, even without their Easy A. Now, once you get to stage 30, they might not be hitting as hard or tanking as well as some of the other units, but actually, this rotation could be very good for a free-to-play, so pretty solid. Then we have the Tech Android 13. He's probably just an honourable mention, kind of last resort slot filler. He's another extreme tech unit if you are bringing a lot of those and have like the support cell, for example. He's got solid enough stats, but he's probably just going to be off rotation, or whenever he's on the turn, you probably just want to put him in the slot where there are the least attacks. But he'll still do reasonably well, and he shares links with some of the units. He's on target Goku, so that helps out the LR Super 17. So he could be a solid enough pick. Next up, we have this second form support cell from the Super Vegeta banner. Now, depending on how you build the team, you can definitely have quite a few Android/Cell Saga category units. He gives those guys 3 key and 40% attack and defense, so that is very good. He doesn't get any of his buffs based on enemy typing because you're fighting a Hybrid Saiyan, but he just has very solid like stats anyway. After supering, as you can see, he has 80% defense at the start of the turn, and then he gets 180 when performing a super. So his defense is going to be very solid, so he's a good choice as a third slot floating unit if your team does have a lot of the Android/Cell Saga units. Then we have this 18 Kissing Krillin. Yeah, so her leader skill is the one I wanted to check, because I think she's the other best free-to-play Androids leader, but technically the AGL LR androids do have a 3% better leader skill. So if you're free to play and don't have any of the android leads we mentioned already, the LR androids would be better. But she has a chance to additional with android allies, which obviously you have on this team. She gives support. She can't lower the enemy's attack, but she is a solid overall support unit. Mine has a lot of additionals, so on the android team she can super attack 3 times. And she doesn't raise her own defense, so she's not the best tank, but she's got type advantage in this event, so very good support unit. And then I thought I'd include this guy as an honorable mention just because he's STR. You could bring like the tech cell, I guess, but he's another very orb reliant unit. But this guy, he's aged quite a bit, but he does raise defense on super. If you get his 11 key, he does the self-destruct, and you know, it's an AoE, which doesn't matter in this event, but you recover 10% HP, so that can be useful as a way to get some health back since you can't use items. So he's probably, again, more of just an honourable mention to fill the last slot on your team if you don't have anyone else to use instead. So going back to the Android category, I don't think we really missed over, like, the Cell Juniors aren't particularly great, and they don't really link well with other Cell units, but obviously they could be an option. You just want to focus on AGL Tech and STR more so than anything. This 18 is decent, but she's more geared towards being on a Peppy Gals team, I believe. I think is her passive Peppy Gals or androids? Yeah, see, it's just per Peppy Gals ally on the team, so she's not really made to be on the Android category, unfortunately. So if we go back to the category here. So you want to avoid int, unfortunately, but I guess technically the 19 and Giro could be useful because they are a 40% support unit for androids, and they do absorb key-based super attacks. In fact, let's double check what super attack type future Gohan is. Because I believe he is a... is he a Key Blast? Oh, he's actually not. Okay. So they won't be... So yeah, definitely don't bring these guys. I guess if you're putting them out of harm's way, they could help you out, but definitely not the best. So yeah, androids, a lot of very strong options. Let me know what your guys' team build is going to look like down below in the comments section. So like I said at the beginning, if you think there's any units I missed out or that we should have talked more about, like, feel free to continue the discussion down below in the comments section. And like I said, let me know what your team build is going to look like for this event. So that's going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.